How about that packed house as the drone drops down to ride toward the start-finish line with 39 NASCAR Cup cars. Green flag at Talladega.
These guys have not had one lap of practice. Be mindful of that. First time they've heard their spotters in their ear is right now.
Well, they have a lot of responsibility right now, and that's, you know, get yourself to track position. The guys in the front, you're going to see exactly what you saw right there. That block right up into that outside line. You're going to see the manufacturers try to get themselves together and start implementing the strategy that they've all worked on for the whole week.
Well, I think that's what you're seeing right here at the front. Where you're going to go, you're going to get single file. But those guys riding in the back, talking about Chase Elliott and company, clear back there in 30th. They're going to try to make some moves early, get this three wide going on and make some headway.
Cole Custer on the outside leading that group. Now gets a little help as Josh Berry jumps outside in the Wood Brothers 21, but it is 25-year-old Zane Smith who yesterday won his first career pole, and he leads the first lap at Talladega.
You want to kind of fan out a little bit to give that fourth place car that's behind a chance to catch up.
So the group that stopped were 6 of the Toyotas and half of the Chevrolets. We're told these are the trouble. One car wildly spinning up toward the top of the wall as 2 more go through the infield, including Keselowski and Blaney are involved in a miscue trying to get to pit road. And caution is out for the first time today.
Big damage for Keselowski. I think he's tore up the most. I think the right rear toe link is definitely broke on Blaney on the 12, but I think they can get that fixed. 6 car with, man, he was in not a must-win situation, Kevin, but he was ready to pounce on him this weekend. Talked about it in the pre-race with him.
And this is what we talk about all the time. And you look at Kyle Busch there involved in the wreck, and you look at these Fords. You know, the Fords have had a lot of trouble finishing these races off and taking advantage of those fast cars. But this was just a mistake coming to pit road.
Let's see this unfold as they come off turn number 4 and head for pit road.
You see how much faster Keselowski and Busch were catching those 3 cars in front of them. Just run out of room, tried to move down. You see Blaney caught the front end of Keselowski, pretty much ripping the whole front end of his car off. Busch doesn't have a ton of damage, but they stack up quick. That's 2 lanes of traffic and people staying out. You see Zane Smith pull up, and look how much faster they run those guys down. Busch gets in the back of Keselowski, turns him up the track. Damage on that Bowman car as well.
Yeah, and it looks like Kyle Busch was actually out of shape trying to slow down. Had to get on brakes too hard.
Well, look how fast they slowed down in front of him. You're going to see him going at it now.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. These guys know that they want to gather as many points as possible in this stage in case something happens in the next stage or at the end of the race.
Whoa! Something's going to happen, all right.
Bell hard into the wall.
That is a huge hit. That was right there at the front. He had Hamlin, his teammate, pushing hard on the outside on the exit of turn 2. Let's see what happens here.
Christopher Bell on the radio says, "I'm okay," and drops the window net to show that to the AMR safety crew that's quickly on the scene. Let's have a look.
Right there on the outside, you can see him getting pushed by the 11. On the exit of turn 2. Comes a little bit of a tap, kind of dancing across the back bumper, Kevin. He gets loose, gets into Buscher on the bottom.
Well, one thing with those Toyotas, the Toyotas are hard to push. I wrecked Tyler Reddick that very same way that Denny Hamlin just you know, turned Christopher Bell right there off the front of his front bumper. And there's a little crown on the front of those front and rear bumpers of those Toyotas, and they're much harder to push than the Fords are.
See how that wall comes out right there? He hit that thing almost head on. That is a huge hit.
And it happens before you even know what happened. From Denny Hamlin's standpoint, you think you're just doing the right thing, and that car will just take off like Christopher Bell's did right there if something is just misaligned just a little bit.
Let's watch from the Celsius cam on board Ryan Preece, who was right behind them.
You see it start dancing across the back bumper.
Yeah, it's that side-to-side movement, and with that crown on the front and back bumper, when it went right, And when it came back to the left across the front bumper of Denny Hamlin with that little bit of bow on the back bumper, that's when it turns those cars sideways, when they start moving up and down like that.
And it just cleaned off the 17 from the inside of the front row.
Look at the radiator fly out of that car.
You know, the one thing that's consistent since we've been going to these Gen 7 cars, guys, I did a little digging this week, and I'm like, all right, where do these wrecks happen, right? And the average is 1.6. That means those first 2 cars normally is where the wreck starts. There's a prime example of just that.
Larson, Byron, Elliott on the high side. 1 to go to the end of stage 1.
Bubba's out quite a bit. Here's a big block. He missed it. Whoa, Kevin, that was close.
Yeah, we saw the 45 car there of Tyler Reddick getting to the back of the 51 and almost had the same wreck that we had off of turn 2 with Christopher Bell.
That was as close to the big ones as it gets.
Bubba Wallace got too far out in front of Cody Ware and lost the energy.
Well, he missed that block on the outside was the biggest one.
Yeah, you see that bottom lane making up a lot of ground right there. Bubba Wallace getting a push from Cody Ware.
Kyle Larson up top, who has never won at Talladega, trying to get the stage win here.
Well, you know he's tired of hearing that stat and wants to end that today.
He missed it again. He got to be careful with them blocks. It was too late again. That's 2 in a row.
Larson, Stenhouse from the middle. Larson coming down, trying to hold them all off and make that car 3 lanes wide. Kyle Larson, William Byron, 1-2 at the end of stage 1. Kyle Larson gets his first ever stage win at Talladega. Green flag.
I'll tell you what, Kevin, starting to stage 2 right here, boy, the front of this pack sure has changed.
It really has. It's been quite the vicissitude for Kyle Larson. He won that stage, got a speeding penalty all the way to the back of the pack, and now you see these guys up front. William Byron leading the outside lane right there. Definitely a different look for sure.
Well, you just had a slew of Ford starting, and now it's really a mixed bag up here.
And that's what happens in a lot of these races. When the wrecks start happening, the strategy starts getting mixed up. You have guys that get penalties and different things starting to happen. All of a sudden, those plans start to go out the window, and you have to start developing a new plan. Sure, if those cars come back together and you can get Fords hooked up, then it will be better to work with your teammates. But right now, it's pretty mixed up.
When you're talking about Fords hooking up, look at this guy right here, Joey Logano, pushing Chastain all the way to the front. Power move. Here they come, baby.
Straight talk from the spotters as Anthony Alfredo from Ridgefield, Connecticut, leads him at Talladega, driving for a team with 1 full-time employee, Larry.
Yeah, Mike, I know he stayed out, but he's not that far off sequence with everybody else. He was one of the cars that came in and topped off at lap 55, plus he only had about 5 laps on his tires, so he's really not that far off sequence as far as fuel is the rest of the field.
Yeah, and the only thing that could really hurt him bad is if he has to pit or something by himself. So hopefully he can fall into a window that he can fall into. I think that's definitely the hope to try to do that. But right now he's leading the race. Another mistake there, Mike. 99 too fast entering.
So here, about 16 cars.
Oh, they're wrecking.
Leave
they're
pit
wrecking
road
off
together.
Pit road. They're wrecking off pit road.
Nemechek's around right there. No caution yet.
He fires it up.
Yellow, get rolling. We blend off at 2.
He's rolling. We stay green.
All good here. All good here.
So Denny Hamlin and Michael McDowell are among the last to pit.
There you see Chase Elliott dipping off, serving his penalty.
Now a little worried there about Hamlin and McDowell, Kevin, because they come out only 2 of them. They're not close together. Down in turn 1, that whole pack is just going to inhale and overhaul them.
Yeah, and a lot of times what happens there when you wait until the last cycle of pit stops under a green flag, those groups start to slow down and you have to move around, and the groups get broke up, and you wind up losing more time than you would have if you'd have come in at the beginning. So they're definitely in a place that they don't have a lot of momentum going into turn 3.
Tyler Reddick.
Oh, contact.
He got loose off the bumper of Cindric, got into the side of Logano. Talking about Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, and that's right in that section on the back straightaway over those bumps going into turn 3.
Josh Berry in the mix, Todd Gilliland on the bottom.
I like that Josh Berry and Cindric. Those are 2 Penske cars there. Their teammate Logano on the inside. Got both 2311 cars out there as well. Can they find one another? One to go.
Last lap, stage 2. Who's going to get the stage win, the playoff point, and the 10 championship points?
Well, this energy is going to be 2-3 cars back in those lines. Who can get that best energy, and then who's going to pull out? Who wants to take the chance first?
We see Allmendinger with a big run on the outside.
Ford and Chevy on the bottom, Toyota and Ford in the middle row. The top row not a factor right now.
Yeah, and a lot of times what will happen right here, they'll wait until they get about halfway to pit road and the exit of turn 4 before somebody starts to make a move.
Bubba Wallace moved down to the bottom, blocking the bottom lane. Momentum will come on the outside. Here comes Cindric.
Top lane trying to find some energy. Logano goes up to pick up Cindric.
Cindric had to lift.
Yes. And Logano drops all the way to the bottom. Here they come to the line. Bubba Wallace will get the stage win over Logano and Larson, who came back from a penalty to finish 3rd. And they're on the gas as Briscoe outside Ty Gibbs brings them to green.
Priest and Logano on the bottom.
Yeah, and you see all those cars fanned out in front of them trying to block that run. That is a really bold move by Ross Chastain, but it checked the whole pack up. I promise you, Denny Hamlin is not going to be happy about that. But when you have somebody like Ross Chastain that's willing to put his car in a position like that to check up that pack, it did exactly what it could do. Luckily, it didn't cause a crash.
All right, Cindric eases it so Priest can pull alongside. That keeps the Chevrolets at bay. They're still too wide.
Watch
but
William
for
Byron.
how long as they come to the trioval and face the white flag?
Yeah, and you see Kyle Larson down there on the bottom of the racetrack doing everything that he can do to get a side draft off that 60 car Ryan Priest to pull him back.
You want to go now. If that caution comes out, the race is over. Zane Smith spit out. Ty Dillon is out. Here comes Hocevar.
And that'll affect the whole row up on the top.
Off turn 2 for the final time. Still 2 Fords in front of 2 Chevys. In front of a Chevy and a Ford 2 rows back. There's the bump from Larson, trying to get that number 2 out of the way so he can make a move. Who's going to come to the outside?
It's the gaps. The energy's going to come from the gaps. Watch him. See that 5 car slow down? He's trying to create a gap to get a run on him.
And there's those lap cars up in the front. That should help that bottom lane get a little bit of draft coming to the finish line.
Into the trial, the final time, jostling 3 wide behind the first 2 rows. Cindric, Priest at the line. Who?
Cindric. I like Cindric, and it's because of them lap cars in front of him. He had the upper hand with the cars in front. That was perfect timing for him.
Just a little bit of draft helped that bottom lane move forward.
Here it is, the run to the line behind those lap cars, and it is Austin Cindric beating Ryan Priest by about 3 feet for his 3rd career victory in his 125th start.
He's good at it. He puts himself in position at the end of these races, finally capitalized on it. Great job, Austin Cindric.
Looking at Roger Penske and Walt Zarnicki, they were up here on the balcony cheering their driver on. And here's a look at it.
Yeah, and you see these cars nose to tail down the back straightaway. But the thing that's going to happen, and we could start to see this develop as we get off of turn 4. They were still pretty much a dead heat as they exited turn 4. They caught those lap cars 2 seconds a lap of Kyle Busch and Josh Berry, and that just allowed that bottom lane to get that just a little bit of a sniff of a draft and pull them forward to get that advantage on Austin Cindric's car. See those lap cars?
There they are.
Yeah.
Boy, he about run out of room. Hurry up, finish line. I love it. I love this place. Love everything about it.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.